Yes, good morning to all. Today we will discuss the introduction to the quantum chemistry. Okay, and if you come to the overall presentation, my presentation contains these topics. One is introduction to bond, the failures of classical mechanics or classical chemistry, or introduction to the quantum chemistry and why we want to study the quantum chemistry, and the introduction to the electron and the comparison of electron with God, and timelines of atomic theory, and introduction to the Schrodinger wave equation. If we come to the definition of bond, is what is bond actually? It is a bond is a representation of two electrons. Instead of writing two electrons, we are writing a single line that is known as bond. Okay, this is what we are writing the bond. It is the definition of bond. Bond is a representation of two electrons. Instead of writing two electrons, we are writing a single line that represents the bond. Next, why this bond will form? Because of atoms require stability. That's what the bond will form. And once the bond formation happens, what will happen? The physico-chemical properties of elements are will be depending on this bond formation. That is melting point, boiling point, and other color, magnetic property, electrical property, and mechanical property, and thermal property, and optical property. These are the physical and chemical properties which are changing due to the electrons. That is what electrons and the bond formation of electrons. And what is this classical mechanics? So wherever we can apply these Newton laws, if it is okay, that is it is following Newtonian laws. If it is not, if you come to the subatomic particles, electrons, protons, if you are applying the Newton law, it is not applicable. That's what this classical mechanics will be failure at that point. These are the Newton laws. Mostly the second law, Newton's second law, F is equal to ma. From that, and even Schrodinger equation, whatever the quantum mechanics, what we are going to discuss, that was even compared with this F is equal to ma, and they have derived the F is equal to ma from this. So more or less this Schrodinger wave equation will be equivalent to this F is equal to ma. This is what and limitations of Newton laws, and it is applicable to small part up to if you are going very small particles, Newtonian law is not applicable. That means it is a limitation. And if it is having high speed, more than velocity of light, or even is at high speeds, this Newtonian law will not work. At higher gravitational fields, these Newtonian laws will not work. You keep in mind, these are the drawbacks of Newtonian laws or the failures of classical mechanics. And even if you see the Earth, suppose if Moon is an 80 times lesser than Earth, when compared to mass, with respect to mass, Moon is 80 times lesser than Earth. But for one revolution, for Moon it takes around 30 days. For single electron, if you see that it will take 18 seconds. That is what the thing is. As we are discussed in previous slides, the limitation of this thing, just you see the time now, the 18 seconds and 30 days, there is a lot of difference here. And we know well electron, proton, and neutron. Proton, neutrons will be at nucleus, and electron will be in outer orbit of the atom. If you apply these Newton laws for this, it will not satisfy the Newton law. And not only those things, even classical mechanics or classical chemistry or classical mechanics will fail you to explain atomic spectra and it will fail you to explain molecular spectra, and it is unable to explain black body radiation, photoelectric effect, and Compton effect, and specific heat capacity of solids. That is CPCV values, you might have heard already, specific heat capacity of solids. Also, this classical mechanics is unable to explain. This is the black body radiation. Just you see, depends on the material and temperature. Wavelength will be changing at this point. You see, one is at red and one is at yellow. This is what black body radiation. Sorry. That means black body radiation will have, it is depending on the temperature and the nature of the material. That is what the black body radiation. And here the quantum mechanics will arise. And Planck has given a definition for quantum. The energy will be dissipated in the form of quantas. Okay, here only the evolution of quantum mechanics was happened. If you come to the photoelectric effect, if you are bombarding an low energy or high energy electron, let us assume high energy electron with an atom, what will happen? That high energy electron beam or electrons, bunch of electrons will remove core electron. Core electron means inside the orbit. Yes, you see these are the two electrons which are ejected. It has given, so now there is a hole formation or there is an vacant position in first orbit. Now what will happen? Higher energy electron will jump to the lower energy. Due to that, what will happen now? Again, there will be emission of light. This is what we are going to discuss in the first unit of the our chapter. This is called a photoelectric effect. This thing was unable to explain by classical mechanics, and even Compton effect or Compton scattering. Just you see, low energy electron, if it is hitting the particle, electron is, let us assume here it is a wave or a particle. That means one is a particle, one is a wave, one is a wave, one is a particle. So now what will happen? This scattering will happen. This without the consideration of this dual nature, particle nature and wave nature, we cannot explain this concept. This Compton scattering concept is applicable for free electron things. And even Raman scattering is applicable for bound electron things. So now why we want to study the quantum chemistry? This is the one more important question for us. Before going to any topic, being a science person or being a chemist, it is necessary to explain why we want to study the quantum chemistry. If you want to understand, or if you want to define, if you want to understand, or if you want to define the periodic trend or periodic table properties of element, we should know quantum chemistry. Structure of the compounds, if you want to explain, we should know the quantum chemistry. Bond length and bond strengths, if you want to explain, we should know quantum chemistry. And spectral properties, why the molecules or atoms will be giving spectra. If you want to explain the spectra, we should know the quantum chemistry. And electron microscopy and surface science. Anyway, we will discuss what is this microscopy. Normal light microscopy, we are using normal light as a source. In electron microscopy, we will use electron microscopy. If you want to understand this concept, we should know the quantum chemistry and how the surface science or surface chemistry will work in this electron microscopy. Okay, and this is one more important thing is, if you want to define a nature or if you want to understand the nature or universe, we need a quantum chemistry, or it is an interaction of matter with radiation. That is what even the definition of basic spectra. The spectrum or spectroscopy definition is interaction of matter with radiation. Matter may be solid, liquid or gas, and radiation is known as here electromagnetic radiation. If you want to understand the nature, or if you want to describe a nature, we need a word that is quantum first. That is what the thing, introduction to the quantum word. The universe is having a matter and antimatter. If it is both things are combining, there will be an explosion. That is what then Big Bang theory was will be explained based on this. And how will you define scientifically the quantum chemistry? Application of quantum mechanics in physical models to the and to the chemical systems. This is what quantum chemistry, applications of quantum mechanics in physical models and chemical systems. Here you keep in mind, chemical system is nothing but atoms. Hydrogen atom, helium atom, beryllium boron, these are atoms. If you are applying this quantum mechanics, how it will be? This is what quantum chemistry. And the difference between the classical mechanics and quantum mechanics. Classical mechanics will be explained based on Newton laws. That's what quantum chemistry based on Schrodinger wave equation. It is applicable for larger objects. It is applicable for subatomic particles, and it is in classical mechanics is deterministic approach, and this quantum chemistry is an probabilistic approach. That's what you see, that we might have already known the psi square. Might be in your +1 +2 you might have read. This is what is the psi square? Probability of finding electron in certain space. That is known as the orbital. That's what we are. That means it is a probabilistic approach, and it is an intuitive. Classical thing is based on intuitive knowledge, and the quantum chemistry is based on non-intuitive thing, and it is a trajectory path, and this is based on wave function we are explaining. These are the major differences between classical mechanics and quantum chemistry or quantum mechanics. Classical versus quantum. You see here, with respect to time, we can move from initial point to final point with in time t. This is a particle. This is classical mechanics. You see that from initial point to final point, we are going in numerous or various ways. This is what it will be varying. That's what quantum chemistry is having this differential equations, that is partial differential equation. That means here various numerous or different variables are there here. With respect to that, we can, with respect to another one, we can reach. That is what the quantum approach. That's what we are seeing in quantum equations, mostly differential or partial differential equations. What our periodic table law will tell us, the physical and chemical properties of the elements. We have already seen what are these physical and chemical properties of elements. These are functions of the number of electrons or atomic number. This is what the periodic table law. So now if we come to the electrons, since we are discussing the periodic table law is depending on the number of electrons. Now, whether these electrons are existed, if it is existed, where they are, and what is the orientation of their thing, and what is the energy of the electron. These are the questions now we need to answer. If we want to answer these questions, we should study the quantum chemistry, or we should understand the quantum mechanics first, and we should apply that quantum mechanics to the chemical systems, and we should explain. That is what our intention. Now, controlling this movement of electrons is possible. If you could able to control the electrons, that means electromagnetic radiation, indirectly we can. It is we will be equivalent to even God. That's what we are going to give in new definition, that is electron definition. El means in Mesopotamian language is a god. Lekt means it is a thought or word or a speech. It means El and lekt, and tron means it is an instrument or tool in Greek language. Now you see, finally the definition of electron, it is a tool or instrument for God's thought or word. Okay, this is the definition of electron. Whether electron is a god, then what are the characteristics of this electron, how it can be compared with a god. Just let us see. And one more thing, whether discovering this electron or the god in the lab. So if you are discovering any one of these, it is an answer for two things. Is it possible to see the atom first? Before going to discover the electrons, and before going to see the electrons, or before going to understand the electron first, one more question is it possible to see the atoms? With our naked eye, it is not possible to see the atoms because our range is different, visible range. With the help of electron microscope, it is possible to see the atoms. But it is not possible to see the inner subatomic particles, electron, proton, and neutron. That's what, see that? Is it possible to see the electron? No, it is not possible. One more thing is, what are the characteristics of these electrons? Electrons are everywhere. Okay, at least one electron will be there in any place, and it does not have a structure. It does not have a shape, or it does not have any components in it. That's what, it is there everywhere, and it does not have a structure or shape, and electron knows every information. In fact, how we are giving this statement, just you see that in our brain, if anything, if you are touching, or anything if you are seeing, how our brain knows? Through the electrical signal, or to the electron transfer, or to the due to the electrons. This is what that means. Electron knows every information, and electron is there to set of rules. Yes. What are those? Pauli's exclusion principles, Schrodinger equation, de Broglie hypothesis, and so many other things are there. We are not given those rules here, just important things we are given. And it is a creator by participating in chemical reactions and transformations. And electron is an origin of light, and electrons you cannot see. These are the characteristics of electrons. By seeing these characters or characteristics, now we can say this an electron is God, and even discovering the electron in the lab is possible, but we cannot see that. That is what. And one more thing, just a couple of examples I will give to understand the electron transfer. See, as I told you already, the information processing by neural path is based on the electron transfer. How the and vision of chemistry. See, vision of chemistry involves the reduction of retinol to retinol. See that retinol is an aldehyde and retinol is an alcohol. It's a reduction. Reduction means we are giving an electron to the retinol, and retinol will become retinol. Then electron is utilized for this thing. So now what will happen? Retinol, if it's becoming retinol, the length of this carotenoid, off carotenoid in vitamin A, it is an off of the vitamin A, one off part of the this thing, carotenoid. So now what happens? The chain length will increase. The chain length, if it is increases even, what happens? This length, change in length, and the electron signal or electron transfer will happen to the brain, and we could able to see the things. That is what. And why can't we see the electrons? Our visible range is 400 nanometers to 800 nanometers. We cannot see, humans cannot see the electrons, because our range is 400 nanometers to 800 nanometers. Below that or higher that we cannot. And the electron wavelength is 1.23 nanometer at 1 electron volt. And this is the reason we cannot see the electrons. And so one of the important thing for oxygen source and photosynthesis is an electron transfer reaction. That means it requires an electron. There are numerous examples, even transistor. Transistor is a device, and even you might be, we are seeing it in our CPUs and processor. Then if you increase the number of transistors, what will happen? Processing speed will increase. So what is the scientific principle behind in transistor working process? This is an electron transfer from source to drain or through the gate. That's what the PN is gate, and source and drain. These are different names, nomenclatures to tell the transistor structure, but here PNP. And based on this PP gap, source and drain, or source and collector, or emitter or collector, emitter distance, if you are decreasing, what happens? This is what your Moore's law will tell us. If you decrease the gap between emitter and collector, what happens? The transistor size will decrease. If transistor size is decreased in particular area, what we can keep number of transistors. Instead of keeping 1000 transistors, we can keep 1 lakh transistors. That's what we can increase the processing speed. This is the story behind in your generations of computers. That is the first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth. It depends on the size of the transistor now. That's what it is very, very important to know about the quantum chemistry. If you understand the quantum chemistry, we can understand all these things. And even single molecular transition, we can go up to certain distance to reduce the source drain distance. But what will happen, since it is a semiconductor, we cannot dope or we cannot go beyond at a certain distance. That's what we are having. We cannot go for nth generation. We can go for only limited thing. That means minimum you can go up to 20 nanometers. I feel 20-25 nanometers. Instead of using this gate as a solid material, instead of using that, we can use a single molecule which will transfer electron from source to drain. This is what an molecular electronics, single molecular electronics or single molecular transistor. Similarly, one more molecule, that is single molecular transition. Just you see it is an benzene ring, or is one side, one oxygen, let us, so one more side. That means from source to drain, electron transfer will be happening through this single molecule. This is what single molecular transistor. And one more simple thing in our daily life, just you see the carrots are even in different colors and even in this orange color. So why? Our quantum chemistry will answer that. Even tomato, why? So why this is in this color, even maybe little variation will be there, but still why it is having that colors. And even different foods and other things, just you see they are having different colors. Why they are having different colors? Quantum chemistry, if you understand the quantum chemistry or electron these physicochemical properties, so we will explain all these things. That is what the thing, even due to these compounds, beta-carotene, carrot, and vitamin A is in a carrot, and lycopene in tomato, and other flavonoids in that xanthocyanins, flavonoids will give different colors. This is the reason why they are color. See that here is a single bond and double bond. These double bond electrons will give that color. That is what the thing. Here it is a 5 bond, but this 5 bond is the reason to exhibit those colors. That is what the explanation for this, why they are having different colors. Even electron interaction with matter, how it will interact. If you are electron, whether electron is having a path, yes, in open place or in vacuum, how it will behave. In open place, what will happen? Electron path cannot be controlled and it will be irregular. Okay, in vacuum, electron will travel in straight path. That is what we have to keep in mind. So now in under vacuum conditions, let us, if you are sending an electron beam to any material, material will interact with the electron beam. Let us, if material is having less energy, it will acquire energy from electron beam. If it is material is having higher energy, it will dissipate or it will give energy to the electron beam, or nothing will happen. Sometime due to these three processes, what will happen? If it is highly energetic beam, what will happen? It will enter into the atom and it will remove the core electrons, that is first orbit electrons. That's what we are naming it as Augur electrons, or some electrons will come out, that is in the form of scattered electrons or backscattered electrons. And from higher level orbit to lower level orbit, electron will be jumping. In that time, what will happen? X-rays will generate even. That's what EDX or X-ray generation will be there, and each atom will give a different characteristic peak. All these things, even if you are studying the transmitted electrons, that means this thickness, sample thickness, if it is less than 100 nanometers, we can study the transmitted electrons. That is what transmitted electron microscope. If you are studying the secondary electron or backscattered electron, this is known as scanning electron microscope. This is we can understand, you see, that by knowing the electron nature, by knowing the electron behavior, we can explain the electron microscope working principle and the interaction and its application. This is what one more important thing in surface science. Timelines of atomic theory. So now we are having so many scientists, we have discovered novel things, but we have not included all the things, but some of the major timelines we have given here. One is 1808, Dalton has proposed first atomic theory. Atoms are existing, but he is unable to explain the electricity. That is what is drawback. And J.J. Thomson, plum pudding model has proposed, and he told protons and electrons are there, but electrons will be embedded in the, like in plum, how it will be, like in watermelon. The watermelon seeds are the electrons and remaining thing is a positive thing, entire thing. And Thomson model is unable to explain the Rutherford's alpha ray experiment. And what is this? Rutherford has identified a nucleus is there, and electron nucleus attraction is unable to explain. That is what the drawback of Rutherford. And if you come to the Bohr model, he proposed the electron cells and single electron atom. He could able to explain Bohr model. But multi-electron system, this Bohr model, Niels Bohr model, is unable to explain. That's what we need, a new model to. That's what Schrodinger will come into the picture. In 1930s, mostly as based on these things, and he was proposed a periodic table law based on the atomic number or electrons. So now if you come to the de Broglie's and Planck's, all this Einstein's equation, de Broglie has proposed dual nature to the particle. That means it will be having both wave nature and particle nature. And after the de Broglie's, Schrodinger has given a mathematical equation and which will be giving solution to all these questions. And he was given the solution for the Schrodinger wave equation in the form of quantum numbers and orbitals, orbital shapes. But Schrodinger's model or Schrodinger wave equation is unable to explain the same behavior of some atoms. That means in the form of groups or some things. And in 1932, Chadwick was invented the neutrons, protons, Goldstein. These are the major timelines of atomic theory. Okay. Anyway, just we will revise once these things. First, the person who is the scientist Democritus, who was used the word called atom. Atom means in Greek language uncuttable or indivisible. This is what atom. Okay, the definition of atom as per Democritus. And Dalton has defined atoms are indivisible and indestructible, and all atoms are having identical mass and size. And how he was defining the chemical reaction. Chemical reaction is a rearrangement of atoms. That's what he was given. That is what his atomic model says. J.J. Thomson, just you see that plum pudding model, just it is like in watermelon, how you are embedding the seeds in how it will be embedded in the form of seeds. The seeds are like an electrons. That is what J.J. Thomson was explained. And Rutherford has done a new experiment, that is this gold foil experiment. Just you see that alpha rays experiment, and if it is some alpha rays are coming back, that's what. So now Rutherford, the problem of the Rutherford model is the stability and spectrum of the atom is unable to explain. That is what the drawback of Rutherford. That is when it was as per Rutherford model, electron is having negative charge and nucleus is having a positive charge. Sorry. Electron is having negative charge and proton is having positive charge. As per the charge or electrostatic attraction between these two, the electron should finally enter into the, or it should join with the nucleus. That means atom should destroy, but it is not destroyed. That's what the stability or spectrum of the atom was unable to explain by Rutherford model. Niels Bohr in 1913, just he was given energy of the electron, and the Niels Bohr model is applicable to only single electron atoms, that is hydrogen atoms, He+. The atoms which are having single electrons, this Niels Bohr model will work. That's what the advantage of Niels Bohr. Main drawback of the Niels Bohr model is multi-electrons are there. Helium, beryllium, carbon, boron, these type of different things. If you want to explain, this Niels Bohr model is unable to. That is what the drawback of Niels Bohr model. Once this Niels Bohr model is unable to explain the multi-electron system and the intensity of the spectrum, unable to explain the Zeeman effect and Stark effect. What is meant by this Zeeman effect and influence of a magnetic field and electric field? What will happen? The spectral lines will split. That's what the Zeeman effect and Stark effect. These effects are unable to explain by Niels Bohr. So now we have to go for a new thing, or we have to consider the electron will be having both things, either particle nature or wave nature. In that case only we can explain all these things. And Bohr was taken, nucleus was taken as a stationary part, but as per now modern this thing Schrodinger equation, it is not a stationary, it is a rotating nucleus. So now if we come to one more famous scientist, that is called Louis de Broglie. In 1924, based on the Planck's equation and Einstein equation, what he has done, he has compared both and he has proposed his own equation, that is lambda is equal to h by mv. That means de Broglie is telling the particle will be having wave nature as well as particle nature. See that? That's what this m and lambda says. particle nature and wave nature. Lambda will tell a wave and particle will tell is the mass. His PhD thesis, he was submitted in 1923 or 24, it seems, and on the theory of quanta. And he proposed a dual nature for the subatomic particles, that is wave nature as well as particle nature. What is the de Broglie's equation? Lambda is equal to h by mv. Now, if we come to an Bohr's atom and de Broglie's atom, how it will be? Just you see, Bohr is proposing circular path, that is n is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6 for orbits. Orbitals, how it will be? Just as per de Broglie's atom, the electron, if it is having dual nature as well as particle as well as wave nature, how the electron will be? Just you see, it will be in the form of wave. Okay, that's what it was. It shows here. It is in the form of wave. Okay, ISPDF, all these things will be in the form of orbits. In orbits, orbital will be there. In orbital shapes, if you come to the orbital shapes, they will be having, these electrons will be having this dual nature. The dual nature, as per de Broglie's model, can be represented like this. And if you come to the Schrodinger, Erwin Schrodinger in 1926, he considered the de Broglie's hypothesis, and he considered the wave nature and particle nature of the electron, and he introduced a mathematical partial differential equation that is called known as the Schrodinger equation. And the solution for this Schrodinger wave equation is in the form of wave function. He has given the solution in the form of quantum numbers as well as wave functions and the energy of the electron. And he calculated the energy of electrons, and he has given a definition of quantum numbers and orbital shapes. These are the achievements of Erwin Schrodinger equation, but all these are probabilistic. That keep in your mind. This is the Schrodinger wave equation. Before going to the quantum chemistry or the Schrodinger wave equation, there are 5 quantum postulates. From one quantum postulates, they have taken, he is explaining h psi is equal to E psi. Okay, psi is a wave function, E is energy of the thing, and H Hamiltonian operator. We will discuss these things, what are these terms, and since it was a new. Now you see energy, Hamiltonian operator and psi. H psi equal to E psi. This is the simple equation which Schrodinger has written, as Schrodinger was derived, that is Schrodinger wave equation. H psi equal to E psi. And if we come to the types of Schrodinger equation, we are having 2 types of Schrodinger wave equations, that is time independent and time dependent Schrodinger wave equations. As per our thing, just you see this dou, y is not a d. Dou will tell us the partial differential equation. What is the difference between partial differential equation and ordinary differential equation? D by dx is an ordinary differential equation. Dou by dou x is a partial difference equation. Why we have to use these 2 types of things? Schrodinger is considering this partial differential equation. The thing is, we are having various variables, different variables. That's what, if suppose electron is having particle and wave nature with respect to different variables, it is not a single variable. Single variable means we can use ordinary differential equation, that is dx by dc or dt, or d psi by dt. We are not using d psi by dt, but we are using dou psi by dou t. This indicates the partial differential equation. That means it's an depending on other variables. And in time dependent, we are considering the time. In time independent, we are not considering the time. That is what the major difference between Schrodinger wave equation, okay, time dependent Schrodinger wave equation and time independent Schrodinger wave equation. So with this, I would like to acknowledge our management. It is in our Chancellor and President Sir and our VC Madam for their continuous encouragement for these things. And thank you for your patience. And now session is